Good morning, everyone. Are you still there? Two fascinating presentations. And I always remember a student of psychology at my university came to one of my lectures, which was an hour long. And he said to me, "Mr. Irwin, you do realise that nobody learns anything sat in a chair for more than 20 minutes. Every 20 minutes you should get us to stand up and have a shakeout. You've been sat there for nearly an hour. There's been lots thrown at you. So can I just ask you all to stand up? And just turn around and say hello to somebody behind you. Shake hands, just say hello. Interact with each other. Have a shakeout. Have a dance, that's it. Loosen that tension. Okay, thank you. I was going to go for a crowd selfie, but I'm not Beyonce. My name's Wray Irwin. I'm the head of Employability and Engagement at the University of Northampton, and I'm the Ashoka change leader within that university. My job bridges the gap between UTI and employers and what they are saying they need from university students and graduates. And the work Johan and a range of innovators like him within education at elementary and high school are doing, producing dynamic young people who see the world very differently from grey-haired people like me. So my job within the University of Northampton is to pull that together and to bridge that gap, working across faculty, staff, the leadership team, but more importantly, the students, and putting the students at the centre of everything we do. For those of you who don't know the University of Northampton, does anybody know the University of Northampton? One person. Wow. We are based in the middle of England. We're about 40 miles from Cambridge, 40 miles from Oxford, so we're in good company in the university world. We were originally founded in 1261, so we would have 800 years worth of history. If it hadn't been for our scholars at the time, who didn't really like the king, was saying things that were upsetting him, so he actually abolished the University of Northampton. He got rid of us. And it was only back in 2006 that we were allowed to reform as a university. We have 14,000 students, and those students tend to come from backgrounds where they are the first people in their family ever to go to university. They come from low incomes. So for those individuals, university is a way in which they can move forward with their lives and move out and on with their careers, providing for themselves and moving their family forward. That's a lot of responsibility because in the UK, students have to pay for the tuition themselves, and if you're having to hold down jobs, as many of you students in the room will know, while studying, something has to give. Seem to be going back to philosophers, but I just wanted to put this up there in terms of this place and time in which we're meeting. Benjamin Franklin said there was nothing in this world certain except for death or taxes. But I would add to that, there's one certainty for higher education, and that is that things have to change. Things are always changing. When we, in the University of Northampton, restructured, we had to restructure ourselves based on an old-fashioned model of a university. We had to prove our research capability. We had to prove our financial stability. We had to prove that we had rigor in our curriculum and in our syllabus. We're a new university that has to show it's an old university in order to be a new university. But then, the other side of that is that things have to change to stay the same. That DNA about what a university is remains constant throughout those 800 years. A university is a place of learning, of moving humanity forward, of improving the lives of the people it serves, remains a core message and a core principle of higher education. What's changed is the way that we do that, and what needs to change is the way that we continue to do that. There are many drivers for that, and we've covered some of them today already. But one of the key issues for us is the changing demographic of young people. In the UK, between now and 2020, there will be a 60% drop in the number of 18 to 24-year-olds. I've spent some time down in Osaka over the last week, and I've not been able to verify that, but I understand in Japan you face a very similar demographic crisis. That drop means that universities will be competing for more against each other for less and less students. There will be casualties in that process, particularly as the higher education sector is now a global industry. I was at the Super Global High Schools presentations over the weekend. You have some phenomenal 16, 17-year-olds coming through. They are looking to North America, Australia, the UK for their higher education. They're not necessarily looking to stay in Japan. So that competition for young people becomes more and more tight on us as institutions. But also it means we have to start thinking about what is a student. We're all structured around taking 18-year-olds out of higher education, giving them an undergrad, giving them a postgrad, sending them off into the world. What if those students are 35-year-olds who are coming back to university wanting a career change? What if it is a 50-year-old who wants to make a complete significant change in their life? Or if it's Finland Air and other big corporations coming to you going, actually, we want you to provide training at degree level for our workers. That changes the dynamic of what we mean as a student. We are also seeing really expanding student expectations on higher education. And it's significant. Students are not necessarily wanting to sit in a classroom anymore and just sit there. I'm old school, sorry, I've just got my phone here. But I wanted to read something that was on a poster that I saw over the weekend. It was something that I thought was very brave, on the one hand, and filled me with hope. But as an educator, it made me slightly nervous. This is from some participants within the Super Global initiative. And they said, what we have found out is that as we move to a more globalized and diverse society, there are many complicated issues. And we need to face those issues. It will be those who take actions, not just words, that have the possibility to solve those problems. However, the problem is that the current Japanese education system tends to teach too much by textbook. And both teachers and students are likely to focus on just acquiring knowledge. With the situation as it is apparent to them that Japan will face a difficult situation in global society. Now, whether we agree with that or not, that's the perception of those young people. And their expectation is that what we will give them in higher education is a purposeful learning experience that will enable them to live a meaningful life within the 21st century. We're also seeing a change, an increasing technological change. We've just heard about Kahoot. I go into some lectures now, and the students have got more information off the internet than I know about. So that's leading to a change in dynamic between student and lecturer. At one time, I was the lecturer, and the student would sit there and listen. A few years ago, we would debate. We would be on a par with each other. What I'm finding more and more these days is students are telling me more stuff than I know. That's not because I'm a bad academic. That's because they are finding stuff that's online that is outside of what I'm looking at, but they are making connections. We've already seen the changing nature of work. We've heard about what employers are looking for. Less and less are employers recruiting just by degree. They want students who've got experience. They've got students who can show that they've got grit, determination, the ability to problem solve, to work through networks. One of the big questions is who's going to pay for all this going forward? Students can't afford to continue paying for this, and neither can the state. So back in 2010, the University of Northampton adopted a Changemaker campus strategy. What that meant for us was that we were going to reconnect with our community to provide a learning experience that focused on us as facilitators of learning rather than teachers of facts. And by engagement with the world, our students would learn how to apply that learning by understanding their place in the world, understanding the change they wanted to be, and how to affect that change. So what is a Changemaker University? Well, there are 4 key areas for me that we need to focus on the paradigm shift. One is that in a Changemaker institution, this commitment to change is embedded within the strategy. No longer is it about research and teaching, it is about the whole experience. We have a culture of experimentation, of getting it wrong, of failing, of having a go at things, and that everybody is given a voice. We even bring students into the design of curriculum and how we will deliver that curriculum. It's a collaboration. We're breaking down the barriers between subjects and working in open spaces where people work interdisciplinary, because problems are complex and need complex solutions from different perspectives. And the curriculum changes every 2 to 3 years. We review every 2 to 3 years. The curriculum is not sacrosanct anymore. If it's not delivering the outcomes that students want, we revise it with them. So this led to our core principles. These core principles underpin our university. And first off, everybody within our university has a responsibility to affect positive social change. Whether that's a receptionist, whether that's the students, whether that's our president. We all have responsibility, and more importantly, we already possess the power to do that. Our leaders have devolved responsibility down to us on the ground to make those decisions, because we know, and our students know, what is needed to make things happen. That all staff and students are empowered to be innovative. This is not incremental change. This is about innovative change that brings together a range of disciplines and a range of thinking to move the university forward and improve the lives of everybody there. We don't do it on our own. We're embedded, which is why I'm head of engagement. We engage with employers, with community groups, with NGOs, with students, with individuals in the community. And we bring them in and we work with them. Sometimes we lead, but most of the time we use our power to facilitate and to open doors. And most importantly, we work in accordance with our values. There is no point anybody being in a job or working anywhere if their personal values are not fulfilled in the workplace. We're not on our own. There's a network of over 45 Ashoka Changemaker campuses, and there's some big names up there that you will recognise. Babson, Cornell, Middlebury. Big players in the field who are reshaping their education offering so that social innovation and a commitment to the community and changing the way higher education works is a core mission and a core strategic driver. So what does all this mean? Well, in terms of the University of Northampton, we've introduced a dedicated social innovation curriculum. We've gone further than that. We've built this change making into every single program that we deliver. Whether that is understanding how an artist can work with a community to understand what it's like to live within that community, or our drama students working with business to help redesign their production line, or our business students going out and working with NGOs on a pro bono basis to develop marketing strategies or fundraising strategies, all linked back to the curriculum. Students are assessed on all of that work. We have a comprehensive co-curricular offering. So the co-curricular stuff doesn't sit separate from the curriculum. It is core to what's going on. As Johan said earlier, playing outside of school is as important, and our extracurricular offer is just that. It's providing a wider range of experiences that enhance the students' learning experience. As a result, we've got nearly 8,000 students engaged with this activity at the moment. These are looking to develop new business opportunities, new ventures, or just go into government and change policy, or engineers who want to work differently around creation of spaces or producing new computer programs. We've got some students working with faculty at the moment looking at applying blockchain technology to creating educational passports so that adults can evidence their education throughout their lives. We're reporting on that social impact, and from September 2018, we've been able to, over the last few years, raise enough funding based on this strategy to build a brand new campus fit for the 21st century, where change making can happen at every corner and in every space. One of the real shockers for our academic colleagues and our faculty was, within this new building, there are absolutely no lecture theatres. We have got rid of the lecture. No longer will people sit in rows to be taught. They will be creative spaces of no more than 40 students working together to solve real-life problems. Just to finish off, one of the real examples of this was in our health faculty, who wanted to do something to improve the health of older people within the community. They raised the funding to buy a part of the hospital in our town. They've moved the entirety of their research and development unit, all of their learning and teaching, into that centre. So now teaching happens within the hospital, and the working in partnership with local NGOs, they bring in isolated older people into that space for health checks, referrals to doctors, but more importantly to bring networking together and to reduce social isolation. Prior to doing this, we were beginning to see a drop-off in a number of our health programs in terms of recruitment. Now, every year, we are oversubscribed because our teaching model within there is seen as one of the best in the UK. Change-making and being a change-maker university isn't for every organisation. It's hard work. We never actually get there. It's ambiguous. It's really complex. The internal politics is horrendous. But for those of you where some of that resonates with you, being a change-maker campus is probably what you already are. Thank you very much.